Good evening, participants. Welcome you all for the fifth day of the International Research Methodology Workshop on proposal writing for the funded projects. And today we have our eminent resource person, Professor Dr. Ambati Nageshwar Rao Sarji is here. Let me invite our doctoral scholar, Dr. Mr. Divakar, to welcome the gathering.
Thank you, sir. Very good evening to one and all present here, to the scholars and the faculty members from the various parts of India to gathering for a beautiful event of the day 5 as a welcoming our resource person to the session. I am audible, sir. Hello.
Yes, you're audible. You're audible.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you're audible. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes. So once again, welcome you all for this wonderful the fifth day event. I welcome our esteemed resource person, and I welcome Bennett sir, Mr. Bennett sir, and I welcome Dr. Sanjay Tiwari sir for this wonderful event. Now I call upon Dr. Bennett sir to introduce a chief guest. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Divakar, for the welcoming the chief guest. And very good evening, and all. And it's my great prestige and privilege to introduce the chief guest of the day today. He's another than our one of the pioneer in RC25 Sociology of Sports, and has been traveling with us for a long time. And not only for sociology alone, he is from the social work department, and he is a dean, and he is in charge for publication. So he is as sociology as a multi-level development. Our resource person, Professor Dr. Nageshwara Ambati, are also doing a development in all aspects, and it is our prestige and privilege to having such a eminent person in this profile. And today we will be talking about the various topics. So far, we have talked about various topics about research, and today we'll be talking about this particular topic on his area of specialization. So without taking much time, let me directly hand over the session to sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you. Just give me 1 minute time. Yeah. I'm sharing my screen. I hope it is visible to all of you. Anyone?
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah, please. Thank you. Okay. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Sanjay Tiwari, sir, and the entire team members coming from Sociology of Sports, Bharati College of Chennai, and MOP Vaishnav College for Women, Chennai, and especially St. George College, Tuttur, and all the organizing committee members. I would like to thank each one of you for giving me this particular opportunity. I would also like to thank all the participants, those are coming from different parts of India. So today, as we are discussing about 7 days international research methodology workshop on proposal writing, as a part of this particular workshop, I'm going to discuss about sampling techniques and tools. I'm really sorry for my voice today. As a part of this session, as I can see that entire schedule completely well designed to have basic understanding of how to write research proposal point of view, starting from research methodologies, types of methods, and how to write project report proposals, right? So in that, without understanding sampling techniques and tools, data collection tools, you can't think of writing your proposal point of view. So I'll be starting my session. First off will be on sampling techniques. We are going to discuss with a couple of examples. Second off, that is second session, I'm going to talk about various data collection tools and techniques. And at any time, you can stop me. As I kept it full screen, I may not be able to see your question and answers. Maybe last 15-20 minutes, or maybe after 20 minutes once, I can take the couple of questions point of view. Okay. Now, first one, I'm going to start with the sampling part. Sorry. What is sampling? As a researcher, as you're going to write your proposal on a particular topic that you want to study it, though you want to study a particular domain, particular population, but you can't able to collect the data from the entire population, right? maybe because of duration, time limitations, financial limitations, availability of resources, right? So it depends on your academic background, like MPhil, PhD, or even as a faculty. When you're writing or conducting study, we can't collect the data from the entire population. Now, as a researcher, we are going to use some sampling techniques. Means, for example, if you look at this is the total population that I want to collect it. Now, this is the population of my research. I can't reach every person because of what are the limitations I have mentioned it. As a part of the sampling technique, as we can't collect the data from the whole population, I'm going to come up with a small sample, like as you can see the right side. I'm going to study this particular sample, and based on my study findings, I'm going to infer my results with the rest of the population. Now, as a researcher, because of certain limitations, what are the sample that you're collecting it? Based on that, you're going to come up with your conclusions, or you're going to come up with generalizing your findings with the rest of the population. Now, as a researcher, if you want to generalize your findings, there should be some rigorous research work. There should be some reliability. There should be some kind of validity. So I'll talk about reliability, validity later on. But we should give the confidence to the scholars saying that the sample that I have selected is really correct sample. Means it's justified. It's not that blindly I have selected someone, I collected data, I analyzed the data, right? What are the inferences that you're going to come? That inferences, that finding should be generalized with the rest of the population. So in that case, as a researcher, you have to be very careful what kind of sampling technique that you're going to choose, on what basis you are going to choose, what is the proper justification that you're going to give, right? If you're not explaining, if you're not giving proper justification for what purpose you have selected this particular sampling, why this particular sampling is right strategy. We have so many sampling techniques are there, but why only this particular sampling techniques is the most important or right choice for this particular purpose of the study. So the just researcher has to play an important role. You are going to give a proper conclusion, proper justification for the selection process and why it is correct sampling technique. I hope it is clear that as a researcher, we cannot collect the data from the entire population. We are going to choose small sample. What are the references that you're going to give? What are the conclusions that you're going to give from the small sample? You are going to generalize with the rest of the population. Now, what is the sampling process? As a part of the coming slides, I'm going to talk about sampling frame. While discussing about different kind of sampling techniques, I'll also talk about sampling frame in coming slides. Okay. Now, when you talk about sampling process, we have two types of sampling techniques: probability sampling, non-probability sampling technique. When I say probability sampling, it means every respondent having equal chance of being selected. Let's take, for example, if there are 100 participants in this particular workshop, 7 days workshop, okay. Now, Professor Sanjay Tiwari is saying that we are going to select 25 students, 25 research scholars, or 25 participants randomly. Means every participant out of 100 people, every participant is having equal chance of being selected in the among 25 respondents, right? So there is a scope, means there is a probability. You are choosing randomly, means Professor Sanjay Tiwari sir, based on your enrollment number or registration number, like 1 to 100, you are going to pick randomly any person. It means every respondent is having equal chance of being selected. It means, right? Right. Now, within the probability sampling technique, we have different types: simple random sampling, systematic sampling, stratified sampling, cluster sampling. I'll be talking about every sampling in detail in coming slides. Similarly, just like probability sampling technique, we also have non-probability sampling technique. It means every respondent is not having equal chance of being selected. Just opposite to probability sampling technique. Now, if you look at non-probability sampling technique, we have convenience sampling, judgmental sampling, quota sampling, snowball sampling. These are the basic sampling techniques. Generally, we read, we refer, we conduct, we use as a part of our research work, right? These are the most used sampling techniques. whether it is a part of probability sampling or not part of non-probability sampling technique. Now, coming to the first part as a part of probability sampling technique, simple random sampling technique. Now, I have all the 100 people, like as you can see left side of this particular slide. We have 1 to 100, like 1 to 12 we have. Similarly, I'm taking all the participants, 1 to 100 we have. Now, after having 1 to 100 as a part of simple random sampling technique, if we are going to keep all the numbers in a particular bowl or in a particular hat or in a particular cover, and we'll take it randomly. Now these days, if you put it in Google, easily it is going to generate random numbers, whether it is 1 to 100, 1 to 1000, 1 to 1 lakh. It easily can generate random numbers. You can simply take that random numbers. So we have lottery method is there. One can also use as a part of it. Let's take, for example, I want to conduct research on, I hope it is not creating issue, impact of your rural health education programs on community awareness. I just want to conduct the study. I'm writing proposal on impact of a rural health education program on community awareness. If I'm going to conduct this particular study, if I want to use simple random sampling, how I'm going to use it? What is the process? If you look at my title, impact of rural health education program on community awareness. Basically, I'm trying to understand there are some education programs are conducted about community awareness. Second point here, rural health education means basically you're talking about the people, those are living in rural areas, right? Now, how I'm going to use simple random sampling technique? First of all, I should know in what all areas, in what all the rural areas, this particular education program was conducted. In what all the areas, this particular rural health education programs were conducted on community awareness point of view. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to decide that the population is nothing but rural residents where this particular awareness programs were conducted. Okay. So my population will be where they have conducted rural health education programs. Now coming to this sampling frame. Now when you talk about rural health programs or health education point of view, my sampling frame, I can't collect the data from the entire rural areas. In India, I'm sorry, really sorry, we might have around 620 plus or 600 plus districts. I don't know the exact value, I mean exact number of districts. Roughly, hypothetically, if you take, there are 600 districts we have it, okay? Hypothetically, if I say that there are around 50% of the population belongs to rural area, at least 70%, 60% of the people belongs to rural areas, okay? My sample frame, I can use how I'm going to collect the data. I'm going to look at the government missionary point of view. There must be some directory, or there must be as a part of rural development, Ministry of Rural Development. I'll ask them where all this particular rural health education programs are conducted. So I need to get the directory. I need to get the list. Okay, from Ministry of India, Ministry of Rural Health Education Program, or maybe I can go to, if time permits, if it is feasible, I can go to some of the villages. I can find out, are they conducting any kind of training programs, right? So sampling frame is one of the important aspect. Sampling frame, basically, one can get it from directories, various government records, okay, various implementing agencies point from them, okay. So whatever is possible, you're trying to get the sampling frame. Now, just imagine that hypothetically, Government of India, with the help of Rural Ministry, they have conducted in 50 villages. They have conducted rural health education program. Now, my sampling frame, my total population is rural people. Okay. Within that, my sampling frame will be the number of places where the Government of India is conducted. 50 villages. From the 50 villages, even 50 villages is a big sample for me. Big, right? I can't collect the data from the entire 50 villages. So what I'm going to do is from each village, I'm going to list out 1 to 50 villages. I just want to select 10 villages from that, right? So I'm going to list 1 to 50 name of the villages. I'll put all the villages names in particular bowl on lottery method. By using lottery method, I'm going to take randomly. It may come 49, it may come 42, it may come 32. Anything can come out, right? So what are the sample I'm going to choose? At the end of the day, it is going to be a simple random sampling technique. There are two things here. You should know your population. You should know your sample frame. Then you should know what is the sampling size that you want to choose it. If you know these three parameters, one can use simple random sampling, or for that matter, any sampling technique can be applied. Okay. Next one, we have systematic sampling technique. We have systematic sampling technique. Name itself indicates systematic sampling technique. Means systematically you're going to collect the data. Now let's take example. There is a couple of examples we have. One of the example is knowledge, attitude, and practice of organ donation in urban areas of Pune city. I just want to collect the data from the people. I just want to understand what kind of knowledge people have about organ donation, what are their attitudes, and how they're practicing it. Means I'm trying to look at it three different concepts: knowledge about organ donation, their attitude towards it, and practice. Where I'm looking at it in urban areas of Pune city. Pune is a city. Within that, I'm just looking at only in urban areas. Okay. Now, I need to know what is the total population of the urban areas, or maybe at least Pune city. If I know it, well and good. In case if I don't know, at least I should have some sample frame. As I'm going to talk about urban areas, I'm going to select a couple of streets in the Pune city. Okay. Now we have so many streets. Okay. From each street, I want to select 20. From each street, I want to select 20 sample. In a single street, there are 100 population. Just imagine that there are 100 population in each street. And from each street, I want to select 20. So what is going to happen is, my total population for each street is 100. From each street, I want to collect 20 people. So 100 by 20 is 5. Means from each street, I'm going to collect 5 respondents. Now, you should know your population. You should know your sample size that you want to select it. Your population divided by the sample size is going to be your number, that is 5. Now, in this particular case, the example that you're seeing right now, 100 divided by 20 is 5. Now, as you can see that there are 100 people, serial number 1 to 100 in a single street. My answer is 5 here. I can choose serial number 1 to 5, any number as per my choice. In case, if I select serial number 4, my next sample will be 9. Why? Because 100 divided by 20 is 5. If you calculate here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After 4, my next sample, my next respondent is number 9. Again, next respondent number is 14. In case, instead of number 4, imagine that I have selected number 1. Now in that case, my next respondent will be 1, 2, 3, 4. 6 will be my next respondent. 11th will be my next respondent. 16th will be my next respondent. So it depends on the choice that you're going to opt for it. Once you decide your choice, from there, systematically, same format, you're going to follow it. I'll just repeat it again. If I know my total population, maybe it is a city-wise or it may be street-wise. If I take street-wise, there are total 100 people in that particular street. Okay. And I want to select 20 from this particular street. 100 divided by 20 is nothing but 5. Now, as I listed all the 100 respondents in a single street, serial number 1 to 100. 100 divided by 20 is 5. I got the answer number 5. I'll choose any number from 1 to 5 as per my choice. But once we decide particular choice, as you can see on this particular slide, I have selected serial number 4. So as I have selected serial number 4, my next respondent will be 9. How it is? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Similarly, same pattern that you will follow till getting your respondent number 20. Right? So this is one type of sampling. This is nothing but systematic sampling technique. This is nothing but systematic sampling technique. I hope is it clear. If there are any questions, please don't wait till the last. You can stop me at any time. Okay.
Sir,
Yes, madam. Please.
that is the interval of every fourth number we have to select from the thing, right?
Every fifth number will be your sample, madam. Depends on the number. As you got the fifth number, every fifth number will be your sample.
And that ratio, the range you have shown 1 to 5, you can choose anything you want.
Yes. Serial number 1 to 5,
What
any
if it
number you
is
can
3?
choose.
What if it is 3?
Then see, if you have selected 3,
Then it will be 6th number. Then it is 9th number. No.
one minute. If you selected 3, my next sample will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, this is my next number. Got it? Eighth will be my next number.
It should be same interval, right?
Yeah, same interval. Number 5. Number 5th will be your sample. If it is 4
Oh.
here, we got 9. If it is 3, it will be 8.
Okay.
Okay?
Every fifth number from that number.
Yes, every fifth number. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Next. Only thing is, you should know your total population size, or at least whatever population is available, and how much sample that you want to select it. If you have
How
clarity
do
with
we
these two,
decide, excuse me, sir, how do we decide the exact number of sample size?
we'll talk about it coming slides. There are a couple of strategies. Let me right now talk about whether you have any clarity with the systematic sampling and the simple random sampling. I'm going to talk about 2 to 3 different methods. How one can decide sampling strategies. How one can determine the sample size. Okay.
And this is the standard method we use whenever we want to do systematic sampling.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The participants, those are asking about sampling size determination. Just wait for a couple of slides. Maybe at the end of first session, I'll be talking about it. Yeah. I'll also show you online calculator, how one can determine the sample size.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, please. Thank you. Okay. Shall we go to the next?
Sir?
Yeah, please.
Sir, is it different from lottery method or, it's different from random sampling, right?
Yes, madam. It is different from the random sampling. Yes.
Okay. Sir, can you please once go back to this lottery method and can you please explain me, sir? I lost that somewhere.
No issue, madam. If you lost it, no issue. You can watch it also. But right now, I'm simply summarizing it.
Yes, sir.
If you know that population, if you have your sample frame like 1 to 100, 1 to 1000, what are the numbers we have it?
Okay.
Okay. Now, just as you can see on this particular slide, we have 1 to 12. Okay.
Okay.
Now I'm going to select 4 people from this particular sample frame.
Mm-hmm.
Now 1 to 12, I kept it in this in the lottery. Like for example, as you can see here, right now there is a hat.
Okay.
I kept all the numbers 1 to 12 in this particular hat. Okay, by writing their names or serial numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm just randomly I'm going to pick any number without seeing their
Okay.
names, without seeing the serial numbers. Randomly I'm going to take it from there.
Okay, sir. Got it, sir.
That way you can take it out. Okay. Yeah. Please.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Pavani Sri. Are you from HCU?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Good. Next one we have stratified sampling technique. As you can see, that name itself indicates stratification, means we are going to stratify our population or sample into different stratas. It can be based on the gender, it can be based on the age group, it can be based on geographical region, right? Depends on the maybe if you have some hierarchy like senior employees, junior employees, depends on the context wise. Depends on the context wise, we are going to divide our total population into different stratas, right? Now, just look at the example we have it here. I think there's some issue. Yeah. Now here we have population. You can have 3 stratas, you can have 2 stratas, you can have 4 stratas. Basically, you're stratifying your population into different groups As I mentioned it can be based on the age, it can be based on the name, based on the age group, gender group, or any kind of classification. One can able to divide it. Let's take for example, we have evaluation of educational outcomes in different socio-economic groups. We have different socio-economic groups like low socio-economic groups, medium level economic groups, and high level economic groups. I can divide it. Or I can divide gender wise, male, female, transgender, or what are the groups we have it. Otherwise, you can also divide it based on the, for example, if you're looking at a university point of view, public universities, private universities, right? Or public, government aided universities. So it depends on the context. We are going to divide the total population into different stratifications. Evaluation of educational outcomes in different socio-economic groups. I just want to understand, people are studying it. Now, majority of us are getting higher education level, right? Lakhs of people are coming out of higher education institutions. But what about their outcomes in terms of jobs, in terms of placements? It's not compulsory that everybody should get placement from the university. But at least are they placed in different universities, different jobs or not? So I just want to know whether the kind of their economic background is playing an important role. The people, those are coming from high economic background, how they are placed. Are they placed in routine jobs? Are they placed in because of the education they got it? Are they because of their generation to generation? What are the business they have it? They are settled it. For some people, getting graduation or getting basic education qualification is just for the sake of name, because they are going to take care of their family, business, okay, whatever they have from generation to generation. For some people, as they're spending a lot of money, their parents are sacrificing a lot. It's like do or die. They don't have any option. Once we complete your education, within 1 or 2 years, you have to get the place. You have to get the job. It can be government, it can be private, it can be service sector, anything, right? Now, just you want to understand what is the status of it. So one can take any method. It can be based on the gender wise, it can be based on the geographical wise, it can be based on economic wise, it can be based on socio-economic wise, it can be based on discipline. For example, those are coming from management background. Are they placed better than any other person is coming from different streams? I don't want to name any stream. Maybe engineering, maybe doctors, maybe lawyers, right? I can also compare it. I can also see that different examples like, for example, coaching and teaching competitiveness, comparing NGO approaches. So just within NGOs, what kind of approaches they have it. So depends on NGO strategy. Like for example, we have for-profit, not-for-profit, and hybrid organizations we have it. There are some NGOs which are doing income generating activities. As a result, they're able to provide more services. They're able to provide more infrastructure as a part of their services. There are some NGOs, they're simply relying on donations, charities. So they're not getting much funds. So they're not able to update their coaching strategies, teaching strategies. Their competitiveness is not up to the market, up to the current trends. Whereas other NGOs, which are relying both on hybrid model, for profit as well as not for profit, they're able to cater the needs of the different beneficiaries' point of view. So here I'm going to categorize NGO approaches like for profit, not for profit, hybrid. Just because this particular approach they have it, because this kind of business model they have it as a part of social entrepreneurship, as a part of NGO approach, what kind of impact it is having on their outcomes in terms of the kind of coaching, the kind of services they're providing to their beneficiaries' point of view. That can be one kind of stratification. Take it any context. If you are going to stratify your population into different stratas, that is known as. Now, for example, in this particular case, first step is we have population. I have divided into 3 stratas: strata 1, strata 2, strata 3. After dividing 3 stratas, we are going to decide whether my sample is 100. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to select 33 people from one strata 1, 33 people from second strata, 33 people from third strata. Means there can be proportionate sampling, there can be disproportionate sampling. Proportional sampling means irrespective of what I'm just looking at, I want to collect 33 from this strata, 33 from this strata, 30 from this strata. Sometimes what happens is, you may not have equal sample. Based on this population, you may fix the sample size also, right? But overall, you are going to have different people stratifications, you are going to choose it. That can be one kind of sampling technique we have. Next one, we have cluster sampling. Cluster sampling. Let's take for example.
Excuse me, sir.
I'll explain after cluster sampling. I can understand you are going to have questions. Let me cover one more sampling, then I'll take it. Okay? Yeah. Because some of your questions will be clarified with this.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, please. Now, as a part of the cluster sampling, I just want to conduct research on effectiveness of sanitation programs in urban slums. Now, Government of India, from the year, don't go by face value, around 2014, 2015 onwards, we have Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, SBM, right? So sanitation programs, we have a lot of, earlier also we have so many programs, but this particular Swachh Bharat Abhiyan created a lot of awareness among the people, and many people came to know about various programs of Government of India, Clean India and all. Okay. Now I just want to know what is the effectiveness of this particular sanitation programs in urban slum areas. Now, as we have so many urban areas, I can't go to every place, every state, every urban area. So what I'm going to do is, as you can see on this particular slide, just imagine that it is India, and I'm going to different zones. You are seeing section 1. Just read it as a zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, zone 5, like north, south, east, west, right? I have 5 zones. We have 5 different zones: south, north, east, west. So whatever this, we have northeast. We have 5 zones we have. At the same time, I can't study entire zone also, right? So what I will do, from each zone, I'm going to select 2 states. From each zone, 2 states. Go all over India. Within that, we have one more cluster, 5 zones. From each zone, I'm going to select 2 districts. From each state, I'm going to select like we are going to have developed regions, underdeveloped regions. Okay. I think not developed, underdeveloped. We are going to have around 10 urban areas. We are going to choose it. So if you are going to have state-wise, district-wise, block-wise, village-wise, taluka-wise, means you are going to have as many as clusters as possible. In that case, if you have more clusters, more stratifications, this is known as cluster sampling technique. The next slide that I'm going to talk about the difference between stratified sampling and cluster sampling. If you look at this stratified sampling, that is left side, we have black color, red color, green color, blue color, orange color. There are different colors we have it. This is stratification. We have black color is 1, blue color is 1, red color is 1, green color is 1. Means within each group, within each stratification, strata, we have homogeneity. But between different stratas, we can see heterogeneity. I'm repeating again. Have divided colors based on their color. We have divided into 6 colors. This is strata 1, strata 2, strata 3, strata 4, strata 5, strata 6. In strata 1, we have black colors. We can see within the strata 1, we have homogeneity, means all are black colors. Here we have all our red colors. We have all green colors. But between blue color and black color, we can see heterogeneity. But within the strata, we have homogeneity as a part of stratified sampling, because we are classifying on the basis of their homogeneousness as a part of stratified sampling. Just because all belongs to male category, we are bringing them 1 strata. You all belongs to transgender category, we are bringing 1 strata. You all belongs to female category, 1 strata. Between male and female, one can see heterogeneity. Whereas when it comes to cluster sampling, we have India. From India, we have zones, north, south, east. Like for example, within the zones, again, we have two states, state 1, state 2, state 3, state 4. Within that, we have districts. Within that, we have talukas. Within that, we have blocks. Right? Now, within each, if you take it as the village or particular urban area, we have 6 urban areas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here you can see that though we have 6 urban areas, each urban area you can able to see that there is a heterogeneity. But between the urban area 1 and urban area 2, you can see homogeneity. Right? We can able to see homogeneity between the urban areas. Within each urban area, one can is able to see heterogeneity. Right. Let me put it here. Yeah, I think now I can go for a question answer. Please let me know, sir. What is your question?
Sir, can I? Sir, this is related to sample size, sir.
If it is related to sample size, just wait for 10 more minutes.
Oh.
After covering non-populated sampling, definitely I'll cover about it.
Sample size with regard to, I mean, stratified sampling, sir.
Yeah, please.
Can I?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. So is it necessary to select equal
In stratified sampling,
number of samples from each strata? What if we have, 20 participants from male and 30 female or 50 transgender in each group? How to select the samples, sir?
see, I just mentioned that in stratified sampling, there are 2 techniques. One is
Okay.
proportionate sampling. Second one is disproportionate stratified sampling technique.
Okay.
Proportionate means you're looking at equally, you're going to select it. For example, if there are 50 people and you have sufficient population, you're going to take 25 male, 25 female.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to disproportionate sampling, we're looking at the total population, you're going to fix the population size. And there is possible, if you can able to take 25, that is well and good. Otherwise, you can clearly mention the disproportionate stratified sampling technique.
So,
Most of the studies, 99.9 studies, whatever I have seen it, they always gone for stratified equal number of population they have seen it. Though there is one technique about disproportionate, I couldn't see any examples, but definitely there is a possibility of having disproportionate stratified sampling as well.
Okay.
Disproportionate stratified sampling technique.
In that context, I can select 20 from one group and then 30 or 10 from one group.
One group you can give. Thing is, you should give the proper justification why this particular difference is there between two stratas. On what basis you have selected one number is high, one number is low.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, please. Any other questions? Shall I go ahead?
Sir,
Yeah, please, madam.
in case of cluster sampling, we will be choosing from the heterogeneous group. There also will be doing the clusters or strata, right?
The point is that, for example, we have India within that zones, right? And once we decide what are the cluster, for example, I have 4 clusters. Last cluster is, imagine that urban area. Okay, we have selected some urban areas. Now here you are going to choose randomly what are the sample size that you have decided. For example,
Okay. My question is,
Please go ahead.
one of the basic principles of sampling is that whatever sample you take should be representative in nature out of the group what you are choosing.
That's
In
true.
case of cluster, when you are choosing from the heterogeneity, the sample what I have taken from the cluster, will it represent the remaining, sample that I have not taken?
Madam, yourself is telling if you are having cluster that is heterogeneity, definitely is going to be representative. You got the point? See, your sample size should be good enough, big enough, first of all. Okay. If I'm going to select the sample from homogeneity group, that is a problem. But if I'm going to have heterogeneity, as it means, one can see that there is a representation from different groups based on the context, what is the research context that you have it. You are expecting that there should be heterogeneity within that. One can ensure that there can be representation from each cluster that you going to select it. If you feel that there is no representation, then you are going to opt for some other cluster.
Sir, I have a query.
But that
One minute.
The representativeness is the basic criteria or principle for that, right?
That's what I'm saying, man. See, for example, give me an example. Right now, I mentioned about effectiveness of sanitation programs. Okay.
Mm.
Now, urban area, if you are taking that in each urban area, on average, you can see minimum 20,000 to 50,000. Of course, minimum I'm saying about. Easily, one can able to find representation from different categories. See, representation, how it will come. As a researcher, how you're going to fix it. You're not going to use convenience sampling. Like whoever you want to approach it, you're going to choose it. Right? You're going to pick, for example, there are 20,000 people, and 20,000 people you're going to pick them. Randomly, you're going to pick it. It is a part of non-probability, part of probability sampling technique. You're not using convenience sampling here after deciding the cluster. After deciding the cluster, if we are going to use convenience, purposive sampling, quota sampling, or judgmental sampling, then it is, you can say that there won't be representation. But you're going to use random sampling only at the end. Once we decide the cluster, there is a possibility of it. Got it?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, please. Next, Vijayashree. Miss Vijayashree, please.
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, I have a query. Difference between multi-stage sampling and stratified sampling.
See, multi-stage sampling, name itself indicates you are going to use.
Yeah, sir, I want to give an example. There is slight
You want my
confusion.
explanation, or you want, if you know everything, then why?
No, no, sir. Your explanation. Fine.
No, I'm see, don't take it as I'm just asking. If you know it, we can go to the next slide. That's what I'm asking it. You want me to explain?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What was the question? Difference between multi-stage and
Stratified sampling.
stratified sampling. Now, are you able to understand what is stratified sampling?
Yes, sir.
Stratified means you are dividing the population into different stratas. That's why it is known as stratified sampling technique. Now, when you talk about multi-stage sampling, multi-stage means there are two different stages. In one stage, you might be using stratified sampling. In the other stage, you might be coming with.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah, please, sir.
Sir, this is Bennett.
Yeah, please, sir. Please, sir.
Yeah, please switch on now, sir. You have switched off the plugin. You have just plug in something, right? It's switched off.
My plugin. Hello?
Yes, fine. Thank you, sir. Yeah, okay, sir. Okay.
You're talking about my switch, right?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. As a multi-stage sampling, as per the requirement of your research data collection process, you might require to use more than one sampling technique. I can use the combination of two different sampling techniques in a single research or as a part of my research work. So I can use, you won't find in many textbooks what is multi-stage sampling. There are some books clearly mentioned about multi-stage sampling. Means in one stage, I'm using stratified sampling. And from there, I can go for another sampling technique. Means in one stage, I'll be using one sampling. Second stage, I'll use as per the requirement, depends as per the requirement of my data collection. I can go for other sampling technique. So you're going to use two different sampling techniques in a single research work. That is called multi-stage sampling technique. Okay. Vijayashree, you want to add something? You said that you know about it.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to add an example and want your clarification on that.
Please go ahead.
Sir, for example, if someone is taking students from science, arts, and commerce, all the three backgrounds, and then further divided them into male and female. Is this multi-stage or stratified?
In first one, what you mentioned, first stage?
First thing is their branches of the graduation students from art side, science side, and commerce side.
See, first one is stratification.
And
We are
then,
dividing the streams into three classification: art, science, and management. Okay.
yeah,
One is one.
at
Yeah.
secondly, it's male and female of arts, science, and commerce, respectively.
Again, you hang stratification there also.
So this is multi-stage or stratified random sampling.
See, if in total population, if you're dividing the total population into different groups, okay, based on particular category, you are going to have that is called stratified sampling. If you have more than one or two
So the
stratifications,
population is graduation students.
sorry?
Grad student population is graduate students, like from first year, second year, and third year.
Okay. So again, you have one more cluster, right? Then it's called cluster. See, you have more than two clusters. First one, you have first year, second year, third year. Within the first year, again, you have uh, arts, management, science. Again, we have one more cluster, male, female. You got it?
Yes, sir. Yes, right. Yeah, yes, sir.
Am I right? Am I understood correctly?
Yes, sir. So this is multi-stage random sampling, including stratified random sampling or only stratified random sampling?
See, I'll call it as a cluster sampling. Okay, we have clusters. First of all, we have qualification wise, we have it. I mean, degree wise, we have it. First year, second year, third year, we have it. Within that, again, we have department wise, we have it. Again, within that, we have stratified sampling, we have it. We can also call it multi-stage sampling as well. That can be done. Okay. At the end, you are using stratification based on the male, female, you are stratifying it. Okay. Maybe I can also ask at the end, maybe if there are any professors, those have something to add it, definitely we can take it from them as well. Okay. Just wait for till the last. We'll take it from the other scholars. From my side, you can use it as a cluster sampling as well as multi-stage sampling in that case. Got it? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please. I'll take questions after some time, please. Okay. Is my slide is visible?
Sir, this is in addition to this multi-stage sampling, sir. Can I, sir?
Please, man,
So
please,
your
please.
slide
Please, man, in the
is
meanwhile, go ahead, please.
Sir, like is multi-stage sampling or like in some cases we use combination of samplings, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is it the same or a different one? Because like, I mean, in many tests, I keep reading like we have used combination of sampling.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I mean, combination of sampling methods like snowball, convenient sampling, etc. I mean, is it differ from multi-stage sampling or is it just the same, sir?
Just wait for this after completing the convenience sampling because I haven't discussed about it. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, please. Just wait for few more slides.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we have covered 4 important sampling techniques. One is simple random sampling, stratified sampling, cluster sampling, and systematic sampling technique. Okay. Thanks to one of our scholars, she also came up with a multi-stage sampling technique. Now we are going to non-probability sampling technique. As a part of non-probability sampling technique, we have very important techniques like convenience sampling. As you can see on this particular slide, thanks to one of the scholar who came up with this particular image. One lady, she's standing in her balcony. She's asking, somebody is passing through that street. Hey, do you believe in the death penalty? Do you believe in death penalty? Somebody passing that particular street, she started asking, do you know what is death penalty is all about it? This particular person is very convenient to her. Means, for example, I'm going to particular universities, particular colleges. I got the permission from various universities. Whomever I feel comfortable, whomever accessible to me, I'm just going to start interacting with them. So they are convenient for me. I'm accessible to them. So I'm just going to talk with this particular people in that case. For example, young adolescents beliefs about concerning menstruation. From the Indian context, generally we don't talk about menstruation, right? So as a result, it is going to have a lot of impact on lack of awareness among boys and young men about what is meant by menstruation, what is happening to women in a month, 3 to 5 days. And we have 50% of the population. So there are some interesting studies. As in India, we have a lot of taboo, stigma is attached to the concept of menstruation. We can't even utter the word, what is menstruation? You know, as a brother, as a father, I mean, we can't even discuss with your brother, father, or family members also. Depends on the conventions of the family. There are certain practices. You can't come inside the home 3 to 5 days, right? Now, the point here is that there is lack of information among the boys and young men about what is menstruation, what is happening to that. So we have a lot of issues with that. Now, there was no much studies. I just want to conduct some qualitative research study. Now, I just want to get more narratives, more description. I want to explore this particular topic, how young men and boys are learning about the concept of menstruation. So here, I'm not here to generalize my findings. Here, I'm not here to quantify. I just want to understand the context. I want to discover knowledge about particular context point of view. So here, I'm going to talk to the people, those who are very convenient to me. I'll go and discuss in detail what this particular topic is all about it. So this can be one kind of research I can able to do that. Convenient people, those who are convenient to you, you're going to use sampling technique, convenient sampling technique. Next one, we have purposive sampling. As name itself indicates, purposefully, you're going to choose your respondents. Let's take, for example, I just want to collect the data from the people assessing social impact of entrepreneurship training on women in rural areas. Assessing social impact of entrepreneurship training on women in rural areas. It's very clear that I just want to understand as my part of my organization have conducted training programs for the women in rural areas. I just want to know how this particular training program very helpful for them, what kind of impact it's created for the young women in rural areas. Now, for that, what I have to do is, first of all, the people, those who attended my training program, I should know who are the people my attended training program. Second one, I can also keep, for example, there are 100 people attended training program. I'm not going to collect the data from 100 people. I'm not going to collect the data from 50 people. But I'm going to collect the data from the people, those who launched their ventures successfully. I'm going to select some people. Those who attended minimum 6 months of training program. I'm not going to simply select all the people those who attended. I'm expecting that at least minimum 6 months or 3 months, I'm giving specific time period as an inclusion exclusion criteria. Okay, there should be minimum 3 months. It is expected that they should learn something out of it. So those who attended 3 months training program, that is compulsory. Those who launched their venture, that is compulsory. Okay. Next one, those who failed. Those who are not able to launch it. I don't want to see only success stories. I also wanted to see failures. If somebody learned something from my session, what made them to learn? How effective it was? If somebody says that your session is very boring or it's not very interesting, so I also need to know what I can improve further. That particular feedback, what I'm going to get the feedback from the organizers, that is going to help me to, whenever I'm going for the next session, the example that I'm giving it, are they really suitable to my participants? Am I able to connect with them? Right? Now, as a part of the training program, if I am simply give some live successful case studies to my training women, it may not be helpful. It may be helpful some extent. I can able to motivate them. But if I can able to include as a part of my curriculum, how to launch the venture, how to design the business model, what is financial budgeting, right? Even as a part of your proposal, how you're going to prepare budget. If you are going to apply for some funding, right? What is the time plan of this particular project? What kind of resources are required in terms of human resources, in terms of financial resources, in terms of physical resources? So as a part of impact training program that I included, are they really effective? Are they really effective in terms of my women respondents to get holistic understanding of launching their venture or not? So it is going to help me, the curriculum that I'm going to design, is it giving overall understanding of how to launch successful venture or not? If it is yes, these are the success. If somebody says no, what I can learn from them. So I can able to see that success and failures from my respondent's point of view. Here in this case, I'm going to choose purposefully, I'm going to select my respondent. Next one, we have psychosocial experiences of survivors with breast cancer. Now, I just want to collect the data from the people, those affected with the breast cancer. I'm collecting data from 3 young women. Those are below 35 years of age group. One is the person who is independent. Independent in terms of economically, she's independent. The other person is completely relying on husband. Now, why I'm taking different cases? Because being a woman, being a mother, being an employee, being a daughter-in-law, how you're coping up with this particular phenomena, breast cancer. As a qualitative researcher, maybe if you're going to use a phenomenological study in order to understand the lived experiences of the person who is suffering with breast cancer, or if you want to understand the person who is affected with HIV/AIDS, or the person who is affected with a person with disabilities, the person who is having that kind of experience, they can give you more knowledge, they can share more interpretation insights with you. So they are the right persons, can give right information for you. So in that case, I'm going to use purposive sampling technique. Just give me 30 seconds time. I need to open my door. Just only 30 seconds. Sorry for the disturbance. Sorry for the disturbance. Yeah. So purposive sampling meant for the person from whom you can get the right information, more information about the research that you're going to conduct it. So most of the qualitative researchers, they use purposive sampling technique in order to collect the data from their respondents. I hope it is clear to all. If there are any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll take after 2 slides at a time all the questions for you. Okay. Next one, we have quota sampling. Most of the time, we always used to get confused with quota sampling and stratified sampling and cluster sampling. Okay. When it comes to the quota sampling, it is also part of non-probability sampling technique. Now, for example, I just want to conduct the study on monitoring the psychological impact of COVID-19 pandemic in the general population. During COVID-19, many people suffered, almost everyone, irrespective of the background, irrespective of the gender, irrespective of the age group, right? Now, I just want to know what are the psychological impact we have on because of COVID-19. But I want to look at it from the different age groups point of view. Now, while choosing the quota sampling, we should know total population of different age groups. For example, we have age starting from 11 to 51 years of age group. And within that, we have 3 categories, like 11 to 21, 22 to 31, 32 to 41, and 40 to 51. Now, based on this particular 11 to 21, based on the population, we are going to fix the ratio. We are going to fix the quota. For this particular population, based on the population, 11 number is the right quota. But once fix the quota, we are going to choose whatever, as per your convenience, you are going to choose 11 members from this particular group, whoever is accessible to you, right? Only thing is here fixing the quota is very important based on the population size. Once you fix the quota, based on the number that you have mentioned it, you are going to select it. This is called quota sampling technique. This is called quota sampling technique. Next one, we have snowball sampling technique. As you can see on this particular slide, I just used various scholars, their work. I'm really thankful for them, especially Question Pro is website where you can find a lot of information. So I would like to acknowledge their contribution for this. If you look at this particular slide here we got snowball sampling. It means we are getting the responses from our previous respondent. He is going to give references of the other respondents. Mostly we use snowball sampling when it comes to collecting data from different groups. Like, for example, I just want to understand the psychosocial problems of children's, those are affected with some multiple disabilities or behavioral problems, right? Now, if I'm going to interact with the parent, if I'm going to ask, do you have this kind of child with you? Definitely they are not going to accept it. For example, I just want to give counseling to the people, those are having chain smoking or drug addiction. Okay. If I go and ask how many of you are having chain smoking habits or drug addictions, if you're going to ask, are they going to tell that I'm a drug addict, I'm having chain smoking habit? No, they're not going to say that. Now, these days, we can able to see that many of them are able to openly disclose their sexual orientation. Maybe it depends on the university to university. We can able to see that they're able to come forward. They're able to say that I'm a gay, I'm a lesbian, or whatever. Depends on this different kind of cultures we have. But in general, you can't find that, right? So in that case, we are going to use snowball sampling technique, where you can't find your sampling frame or population openly, where you can't trace them. You are going to ask one of the respondent. You try to get the first respondent by using rigorous methods. You are able to trace one respondent by collecting data from him, and you are going to ask, do you know anyone who belongs to this particular category or who's having this kind of hobbies or habits, right? So this particular respondent is going to give references of the other respondents. So in that way, one can able to collect the data from the other respondent, those who belongs to your research study. This is called snowball sampling techniques. So we have discussed two types of sampling techniques: probability sampling, non-probability sampling technique. While choosing sampling techniques, we may commit some errors. Non-sampling errors means without using complete schedule or proper measurements. When you're going for quantitative data, if you're going to collect the data from a huge sample, it is always better to conduct pilot study to understand whether your respondents are in a position to understand your tool that you have designed it. Maybe in terms of language, maybe in terms of looking at content validity, maybe in terms of looking at construct validity point of view. Are you able to design your tool as per the standard of your research participants? Is it going out of the context? Is it within the context? So what kind of plan you are going to do? You can also conduct a reliability test with the help of Cronbach Alpha, whether this particular tool that you have designed is really reliable or not. In addition to that, non-sampling errors can be untrained, unskilled investigators. Now, when it comes to qualitative studies, it is very important that the way you trained your field investigators is very important. I'm not saying that for quantitative data you can send anyone. Training is required irrespective of quantitative and qualitative. But when it comes to qualitative data, what are the data that you're going to get it, right? Because my second question, the way I'm going to ask second question, my probing question will depend on the answer that I received for the first question. Now, the kind of atmosphere I'm going to create, the kind of comfortability I'm going to create, the kind of precautions that I'm going to take, the kind of ethical standards, ethical measures that I'm going to take, it is going to influence my respondent, how he or she is going to answer to my questions, right? If you're not able to build the rapport, if you're not able to create that kind of atmosphere, your respondent may not able to share, not able to disclose the information as you required it, right? I'm going to discuss one important case study at the time of talking about data collection tools and techniques. Okay, lack of supervision is another problem. Interpretation of data requirements, it requires a lot of experience, right? These are some of the sampling errors. As I can see that many of your questions are related to how one can decide sample size. Before talking about determining the sample size, first of all, what is the size of the population that you're looking for it? You should know your total population size. If you know, that is well and good. If you don't know, also well and good. But if you know, you can go confidently. Second one, before deciding the population size, sample size, you also need to know what are the resources are available with you in terms of time, in terms of resources, and what is the nature of the population. Are they going to belong to different religious groups, communities? And based on that, we are going to adopt certain sampling techniques. Let's take for example, we have different kind of strategies. First one is conventional method. Conventional method means my supervisor says that I have to go for 10% of the total population. Or you simply say that go for 385, 380 sample. Means based on your supervisor, based on your guide, one way you are going to decide what is your sample size. But up to your supervisor is good. Thing is, this your dissertation, your thesis is going to be evaluated by examiners. There are so many people are going to read your work, right? So there might be so many questions from different people. You also need to give justification. You can't simply say that my supervisor suggested that I have to go for 380 sample is the correct sample size, irrespective of the population. Unless you are going to get a lot of grilling from your examiners and various people, right? Second method is using the census of small population. In case we have small population, as you can see here, sample size table for the known population. Your sample size, you have census and you have small sample, you can collect the data from the entire population. If population is very small, you can collect this data from the entire population. Second one, looking at the existing research studies. For example, Pawan Sri, what's her name? She conducted study on persons with disabilities. Okay, I'm also conducting study on persons with disabilities. I just want to understand. For the same kind of research, she used this kind of sampling strategy. So based on that particular previous research, by quoting her, Pawan Sri, I can decide my sample size. I'm giving the reference of Pawan Sri. Okay. Sorry, I just forgot the name. Pawan Sri, is it? So that way I can able to decide one. Third method is we have a lot of published sample tables are available. As you can see here, this is a sample table. This particular table was designed in the year 1970 by Morgan. Okay. Still this particular table is valid. For example, my total population is 10. I'm going to select my sample will be 10. If my total population is 480, I'm going to collect the data from 214. If my population is 30,000, 379. If my population is 75,000 or 1 lakh, I'm going to have 384. So based on the published tables, by giving this particular reference, one can also determine what is the population size we have it. And there are also so many formulas we have it. I'm not going to discuss the formula right now, but one right justification, at the same time, most easiest way to determine your sample size. There's a person named Rao Soft. I'm not the Rao. He's a very renowned scholar and recently passed away in the year 2024, early 2024, if I'm not wrong. Very renowned statistician. He came with this particular software, Rao Soft calculator. It's an online calculator. You don't need to download it. You don't need to install it. You simply can open Rao Soft calculator. And you'll see there are 4 options. One is margin of error. Now, for your justification I have given here, those who belongs to social science research or educational research generally will give margin of error 5% for categorical data. Whereas when it comes to continuous data, we'll give margin of error as 3%. Okay, it is acceptable. Okay. Now, confidence interval, being a social scientist or a scholar coming from management, we always go with 95% confidence interval. If somebody is coming from health science or pharmaceutical industry, or somebody is coming from healthcare industry, if you're conducting or doing any research on drugs or any kind of medicines, mostly they'll go with 99% confidence interval. But being a social scientist, there's always scope for errors. So we can say that 95% confidence you are. And if you know total population size, you can give the total population figure here. In case, if you don't know total population, just give 20,000 as a number. If you know total population, it's better to give the entire population size if you know the, right? Otherwise, just give 20,000. It is acceptable based on the lot of experiment. This particular calculator was finalized it. It is valid and still, not still, it is still majority of the researchers are using raw soft calculator to determine your sample size. The best part is that you don't need to follow any formulas, any kind of calculations here. Now, what is the response distribution? We are going to give 50% as a response distribution of it. So if you know this particular 4 columns, 4 parameters, you'll get this total sample size that you can decide for your research work. Okay. So based on that, you can come up with your correct sample size as a part of your research if you don't want to use any kind of formulas as a part of your research work. I think we are done with the first session. Any questions so far? Shall we go with the next session? Data tools and methods. Are there any questions?
Sir,
Yeah, please.
we can use convenience sampling when there are no set target respondents. Is it like that?
When there are no target respondents. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
You not set any target group for collection of data.
We don't have any target group. Those are accessible to you. Those are convenient to you. You are going to collect the data from them.
Everybody and everybody who is at your convenience.
At your convenience.
Thanks.
Yeah. As there are no questions, I hope we can go ahead.
Hello.
Yes,
Can
Pavani, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, like I mean, this is with regarding to a combination of sampling, sir. So, what if I plan to do interview between 3 set of strata, sir? For instance, one is among parents or family members, and the other one is the actual respondents, and the other one is if I'm doing related to education or something related to medical stream, then doctors or teachers. Then can I use 3 different sampling techniques for that?
Obviously, see, for example, if you are collecting data from one stakeholder, your purpose is different.
Okay.
You may be using quantitative study or qualitative study or combination of both quantitative and qualitative, right?
Yes, sir.
Your purpose is different for that. Each stakeholder, you have different purpose,
Yes, sir.
right? I'm not saying that one point is here. I'm not saying that if you're going for quantitative, you're going for probability sampling technique. But majority of the scholars, those are going for quantitative, they'll go for probability sampling technique. As you go for use sample, as you want to generalize your sample size, those are conducting quantitative study, they'll go for probability sampling technique. But sometimes your research context demands that you have to go for non-probability sampling technique as a part of quantitative study also. You may not be able to trace your respondents. So in this situation, one can also go for non-probability sampling technique while doing quantitative research study. That's why you have parametric, non-parametric statistics.
It's quant
If you're
or
not able to,
qualitative?
one point. If you're not able to use random sampling technique, you can't go for majority of the parametric statistics technique.
Okay.
Right? Though you are studying quantitative study, but still you are going for non-parametric statistics because you haven't choose random sampling technique.
Okay.
It means you have gone for non-probability sampling techniques.
Okay.
That is the reason you are going for non-parametrics. Of course, that is one option. There are so many other parameters why you are going for non-parametric statistics, like sample size is different and you have different kind of variables. I'm not going detail, but one of the option why we are going for non-parametric statistics because we haven't gone for random sampling technique. Okay. Yeah, please, you are adding something. You want to say something?
No, sir. Like mine is a combination of quantitative and qualitative, sir. So I use combination of sampling techniques, sir. So
Yes, you can use it.
I can use it, right?
Yes, you can use it. Yes,
Okay.
100%.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir, I have a question.
Please, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, sir, I would like to directly come to the question. Suppose if the study is a mixed method approach, it is both qualitative and quantitative. And so can you please tell me how we will select the sample size and what sampling we will apply on the things? Sir, my normal question is just this, we have to divide the population in 2 categories. First is tourist and second one is the local artisans and the local people whose economy is boosting with the help of the cultural heritage.
See, whatever the context may be, your purpose decides we are going for quantitative or qualitative. Second one, Are you going to collect the data from huge sample? Are you going to collect the data from small sample? Okay. Now, if you look at the overall probability sampling, non-probability sampling, we have discussed about each sampling technique have different purpose. Let's take, for example, purpose of sampling. It's very clear. I want to select data from only this particular people, right? Because this particular people can give me the right information about it. Even as a part of the probability sampling technique, you are going to use randomly because you want to get the representation and you want to generalize your findings with the rest of the population. So if you know that the sample that you're going to select it is a representative or not, okay, so that can be decided based on that. You can choose when you are clearly mentioning that you are going to have mixed methods, means one is quantitative, second one is qualitative. So based on that, you can take the call whether it is going to be probability sampling, stratified sampling. Context should be clear. Then only you can say that what is the right sampling technique, one can go for it. You can't simply say that I'm going for mixed method, what is the right sampling technique. We should know the context. Based on that, you can give the proper justification why you are going for it. Okay. Mr. Suresh, please let's go ahead.
Sir, the quota sampling
Mhm.
used both in qualitative and quantitative studies. And another thing, the quota
Well,
sampling used
can you complete the first word? Quota sampling. What was the question?
both qualitative and quantitative methods.
Quota sampling is a part of non-probability sampling technique. Okay.
Only qualitative, no?
I mentioned one point. I
Okay.
mentioned one point. If situation demands, if you're not able to trace any directory,
Okay.
if you're not able to trace your list of sample frame, in that case, one can go for non-probability sampling technique. When it comes to quota sampling, it is part of non-probability sampling technique. Only thing is here, you should know your population to fix the quota. Once you fix the quota, you may use purpose sampling, you may use quota sampling. Just you are going to choose whichever is convenient for you. You're not going to pick anything randomly here. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and sample size is going to be small as a part of quota sampling technique.
In which context I'm doing the tribal healers.
Tribal healers.
Tribal healers.
Okay.
The present status and
Okay.
their issues,
See,
basically.
you are talking about tribal healers. With my limited knowledge, you might be talking about their indigenous practices.
Yeah.
Now, every community have different kind of practices.
Yeah.
So are you going to fix community wise? Okay, this particular community have this much population. I'm going to collect the data from 10 people from this particular community, 15 people from this particular community. You can fix it. Otherwise, you can take indigenous practices. You can divide into certain categories. How many people are following this kind of practice? A practice, B practice, C practice.
Okay.
Based on that also, you can fix the quota.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Otherwise, simply can say that from by using purposive sampling, I just want to have 5 different cases, 5 different practices. Okay. How each case is effective. Okay. You can also see that part as well. Yeah. Shall I go ahead with the next? Any questions anymore?
Yes, Dr. Rao, we can move to the next section now.
Okay, sir. Please. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. I'm sharing my screen. So we have data collection tools and methods. We have different kind of data collections. I don't think I'm going to add any new addition to you all, but I just brought some interesting case study. Okay, as you all know that we have survey questionnaire, interviews, observation, experiment as a part of primary research work. Now, when it comes to the interview, one can go for quantitative, one can also go for qualitative. If you look at the interviews, we have 3 types of tools we have. Structured interview schedule, semi-structured interview schedule, unstructured interview schedule. Means, as you can see that structured means we have most of the time, the question is very well designed, well prepared, and where we have more of closed-ended questions. Okay. Now, you can also have open-ended questions where you're going to have open-ended and closed-ended. We are going to have semi-structured interview schedule. Third one, we have unstructured interview schedule. We are going to have interview guide, some list of questions that you want to ask. And on this part, you're going to ask a lot of questions based on the responses that you're getting from your respondent. So you're going to use different probing skills. So interview will go for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 different settings, 10 different settings. Depends on the context. You may go for number of settings as well as a part of interview method. We have structured interview schedule, semi-structured interview schedule, unstructured interview schedule. We can also call it as in-depth interviews, right? That can be part of data collection methods. Second one, we have observation. Observation also can be used as a part of quantitative as well as part of qualitative. If I'm going to use as a part of quantitative research, for example, I want to study Anganwadi centers, how our Anganwadi centers are performing. Okay. Now, as a part of Anganwadi centers, they are coming under ICDS scheme, like Integrated Child Development Scheme. If you go to this particular website, ICDS scheme, Government of India listed out what is the basic infrastructure this particular Anganwadi centers have to maintain. Maybe in terms of school, maybe in terms of food menu, in terms of the curriculum, what is the basic infrastructure is required. So what I'll do, I'll go to this particular ICDS scheme. I'll get the printout of this particular checklist. Okay. I'll just go and talk. I'll just go and observe it. Anganwadi centers, what kind of infrastructure they have. I'll just tick mark it. What is there, what is not there, and all. So that can be part of quantitative research work. Same thing can be also applied for qualitative research. Like we have participant observation, non-participant observation. If you want to understand tribals culture, if you want to understand working culture in multinational companies, MNCs, or university culture, or if you want to understand tribals culture, how they are practicing indigenous health-seeking behavior or different kind of practices. I just want to understand the ritual practices, right? So in that case, I can also use observation method. As a part of observation, I can take photographs, I can take videos, I can also take small objects they are using as a part of their ritual practices, customs, traditions, right? So it will go in detail more about it. As a part of observation method, one can use it. Next one, we have survey method, where we are going to use questionnaire as a research tool. We are going to design the tool and your respondents are going to submit it. You can send it via mail. Most of us are these days collecting data by using online forms, Google Forms, right? Now I can collect the data from them. My respondents can able to fill it. They can send me back, or I can give them, they are going to answer it. They're going to fill it. So as a part of primary research, these are some of the methods or tools one can use as a part of data collection. When it comes to secondary part, we have literature review. Now, thanks to AI, the people, those are not having access to Scopus, Web of Science databases. We have database like dimensions.ai, lens.ai. There are so many databases we have it. Even Google Scholars we have it, right? PubMed, of course, PubMed is again, those are coming from medical background, healthcare background. ProQuest we have it. So there are so many databases we have it. In addition to that, it depends on your research context. We can also get the data from the government databases, statistical databases, commercial databases. So we have it. There are so many industries. They are time to time conducting research, right? So we can also scrap the data. We have certain tools to scrap the data from social media. I'm sure some of you might be knowing it. Those are using qualitative data analysis tool like NVIVO or any kind of Atlas TI. We can also scrap the data from our Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or Wikipedia, any kind of website. We can scrap the data. Right? So by using different tools, one can able to collect the data as a part of your research work. Now, I just want to explain one case study so that we can go for the question and answers point of view. When you look at the overall data collection methods point of view, we have observations, interviews. These are some of the methods one can use it. Based on the type of the method that you have opted, we'll go for data analysis, though it is not my part of my session, but I want to present this particular table so that you'll get some kind of clarity. If you're opting for interview, what are the data analysis methods can opt for it? Like we have framework analysis, content analysis, thematic analysis, narrative analysis, phenomenological analysis, grounded theory analysis. Most of us, we know how to use thematic analysis. So I'll use thematic analysis. Before that, let's have a small case study. As you can see here, this is a PhD dissertation. Title of the dissertation is A Phenomenological Study of the Lived Experiences of Parents of Young Children with Autism Receiving Special Education Services. This particular scholar collected data from young parents, those are having children with autism. Point number one, he collected data from the young parents, those are having children with autism. Point number two, the researcher not just collected data from all the parents who are having children with autism. She collected data from the parents who are having autism, the two who are receiving special education services. Because the researcher main intention is to understand the lived experiences of parents. Lived experiences of the parents who are having children with autism. At the same time, they started receiving special education services. In the process of receiving services, in the process of approaching for this kind of services, what kind of experiences they are undergone? Being a mother or being a mother with having child with autism. Okay, case is very interesting. You can find it in Google also. If you require, I can also share this particular thesis. It's around 250 pages. But I suggest you all go through the research methodology part. It is around 40 pages, if I'm not wrong. I'm talking about research methodology chapter. It is around 35 to 40 pages. Well explained with a detailed explanation. And you won't forget what this phenomenological study is all about it in your lifetime if you read this particular thesis. Okay. Now coming to the methodology part. The researcher used descriptive phenomenology. I know that many of you are coming from sociology. We have two types of phenomenology: descriptive phenomenology, interpretivist phenomenology. Descriptive phenomenology means you are going to describe what you are seeing, what you are observing, what you are feeling. Whereas when it comes to interpretivist phenomenology means you observe something, you collected data from your respondents, and you are going to co-create the knowledge. Means based on your understanding of the research that you collected, you are going to interpret your findings and you are going to co-create the knowledge. Okay. I'm not going to discuss what is phenomenology here right now, but the phenomenology is nothing but you're trying to understand the lived experiences. Means you are not going to miss the essence of the experiences of the people who are affected with the particular phenomena. So there are certain concepts like bracketing. Means as a qualitative researcher, that too as a phenomenologist, you are going to use the concept called bracketing. Means it is clear that your prior assumptions, your prior knowledge, not going to influence your data collection and data analysis process. You are going to hold your prior assumptions, prior knowledge. It is not going to influence. Means there is not going to be any kind of bias at the time of data collection. Means as a researcher, you are open towards receiving the information from your respondents. What happens is, for example, I'm a person with disability. Okay. If I'm going to collect the data from a person with a disability, I should not assume that, okay, after listening 2 minutes or 10 minutes, I should not assume that, okay, just I have experienced as a person affected with other mobility problems. Even he or she also affected with the same kind of situation. You cannot assume yourself. You cannot come to the conclusion. You should be open enough. You should have patience enough to understand. Let him to complete whatever he or she wanted to share. Okay. So phenomenology is one of the important concepts as a part of sociology. I'm sure all of you might be knowing the concept of phenomenology. I'm not going detail about it. But as a part of this particular research, the researcher used descriptive phenomenology. Means the researcher is going to describe what she observed, what she understood, what she respondent mentioned to her as a part of the research. Now, my main objective of this particular study that I brought it here to justify the sampling techniques as well as data collection tools. She collected data in 3 or 4 different manners. First one is she conducted telephonic interview. She conducted telephonic interview. As she wanted to collect the data from the young parents who are having young children with autism, she was not able to trace the data. She was not able to trace the data of the parents. She approached various NGOs. They said that whenever we come to know, we are going to share the information. She approached one of the special education organization, which is providing autism services. What they did, they shared her research tool on their Facebook. Within 2 hours, one of the parents responded saying that I have a child with autism. And that particular parent shared same research tool in various social media platforms. As a result, 7 people said that I'm ready to participate. So she got the contact details of 7 parents. First time, in the first stage, she conducted telephonic interview. As a part of telephonic interview, she asked first question, do you have minimum age 18 years? Are you above the 18 years of age group? Point number 1. If yes, do you have a child with diagnosed with autism? Point number 3. Your child must be between 24 to 60 months, means below 5 years of age group. Because if somebody have 10 years of child or 15 years of child, they experienced the problems long back. You can't forget your experiences, but you may not be able to tell exactly how you experienced in detailed manner. The essence, the lived experiences, you may not be able to put it properly. So the researcher wanted to know recent experiences and she don't miss it. Okay. 4th one, there should be only one child with a disability. For example, for my parents, I'm the only person with a disability. Okay. But in case if they already have someone with a disability, my brother or my sister, they already experienced it. So they know how to approach the government, how to go for intervention strategies, how to get the special education services. They don't have same kind of stress. They don't have same kind of experiences because they already have seen one child with a disability. That is the reason they mentioned that the parent, those who said that they have a child with autism, they should have only one child with a disability. Okay. 5th reason, you should be comfortable in English because the researcher is not coming from Dutch language. She don't know the language and she don't want to translate it. These days, we have so many softwares. Simply can transcribe the data from one language to another language, right? But she don't want to miss the essence of the language because the essence, even one word, it will make a lot of difference how you, or the kind of empathetic understanding, the kind of feelings that you're going to create to the people, right? So you don't want to miss that essence of the experiences of the people. And she didn't keep any racial or ethnic parameters. Irrespective of your background, you're ready to come and participate. Now, based on this, somebody can tell me what kind of sampling technique it is. It is an exercise for you all. By mentioning about all the inclusion, exclusion criteria, what kind of sampling technique did she used?
Purposive sampling, sir.
Very good. Purposive sampling technique she adopted. Okay. Lastly, child must have received educational intervention services through origin education service districts. Okay. That is another last criteria. These are the 7 criteria. 7 people said that we are ready to participate. As a part of telephonic interview, after asking all these 7 questions, 4 people finally agreed to come forward. Okay. Next round, what she did after conducting telephonic interview, as a part of telephonic interview, she also asked one more question. Are you willing to share 10 photographs of your children with your family members? Number 8, inclusion criteria. Are you willing to share 10 photographs of your children with other family members? Now, here in the second stage, she used photo elicitation method as a data collection tool. Photo elicitation, very interesting, very unique. Some of you might be knowing it, but for me, I know that most of the ethnographic researchers, most of the social impact assessors, they use certain photographs. For example, if you're talking about MG Narega project, we'll take some photographs of schools, some infrastructure development projects and all, right? I know that much method, but as a part of disability research, photo elicitation method, the researcher wanted to build the gap between the parents and researcher, because I'm going to talk about parents, about the children's problems. Because of your child, what kind of experiences do you have it? Because of your child, in order to get certain services for your child, what kind of experience you got it? They may not be able to feel comfortable to discuss openly. They may not be able to comfortable to disclose every information. As a researcher, I'm trying to bridge the gap between the researcher and the parents. So what the researcher did in the second stage, by using photo elicitation method, she placed all the photographs, 10 photographs. She asked the parent, please select one photograph. Tell me what was the context. Tell me what was the context. Who are the other children's? How your child behaving? What was the incident? Now she started building the rapport. She used entire face only to build the rapport. This is one kind of tool as a researcher you are able to utilize in qualitative research work. She collected data, she went back. In the third stage, she conducted in-depth interviews. Now, as a part of the third stage, she started taking previous stage. Okay, during our last sitting, in the last interview, we mentioned that this was the context, this was the situation. Can you tell me a little bit about it? I'm not able to understand what was the context. Can you elaborate it a little bit further? Means she started taking the incidents of the previous interview. She started talking about it in elaborate manner. And she was able to fill the gap between the researcher and parent. And most of the parents are able to interact freely, right? Because you're not talking something, you're not treating the problem as a problem. You're trying to interact, you're trying to understand. So most of the parents she was able to see a lot of tears, their emotions while sharing what was the incident is all about it, what was the situation all about it, right? So the researcher was successful in terms of bridging the gap between the parents and teachers. Now, in the last stage, after the in-depth interviews, as a part of phenomenological study, she mentioned that I'm able to finalize my entire thesis, but I was able to certain gaps. I just want to conduct group interview. If you are willing to share in a team, I know I'm talking about your child problems, your child issues, but if you don't mind coming together, interacting as a team, I just want to read out, I just want to clarify, validate my findings. Am I understood correctly, your experiences? So she started describing. And out of the 4 people, 3 people agreed, 1 person because of time. She said that he can come and meet me later on. And she was able to meet all 4 people. And she was able to verify that what she understood is correct. And what are the gaps are there, she was able to finalize it. So one can use different kind of data collection tools and techniques. It depends on the context wise, how you'll get it, right? Lastly, as I mentioned that we have different kind of data analysis tools and techniques. We have it like thematic analysis, narrative analysis, content analysis. Now, I'm explaining one concept. I'm sure there will be some sessions on qualitative data analysis. Put it very briefly. Professor Braun Clarke came up with this particular concept, thematic analysis. He explained 6 stages. As a researcher, once we collect the data, you are going to read, you are going to understand what kind of data that you collected it. One point is very clear. When it comes to qualitative data, data collection and data analysis will go simultaneously. I'm just repeating again. When it comes to qualitative data, data collection and data analysis will go simultaneously. I'm sure some of you might be knowing the concept called saturation, or you might be knowing concept called theoretical sampling. Means the scholar, those are using grounded theory. If you reach certain saturation, if you're not able to find some new findings. Either you'll start revising new questions, you stop the data collection, you start coming with new data, new questions, and start asking them, right? Means data collection and data analysis. Data analysis means you're not going to finalize your report. What are the data you collected? After coming back, you'll have preliminary understanding of what kind of data that you collected. We have different kind of tools we use, it like memo writing, journal writing, field notes. Because when it comes to qualitative data, there is a high probability that you may forget some of the important insights. How much ever your grasping skills you have, memory power you have it, there is a possibility that you may miss some important insights from your data that you collected it. So as a qualitative researcher, if you are going to use audios, video recording, there is a possibility that majority of your respondents may not feel comfortable if they come to know that you are recording their audios, videos, right? Depends on the target group members, depends on your stakeholders, their education level, their background point of view. There is a possibility that your respondent may not feel comfortable. Even if you take in front of them note taking, they may not feel comfortable, right? So it's always better to come back and look at it and take notes so that you won't miss some of the important points. So data collection and data analysis will go simultaneously as a part of your qualitative research. Whereas when it comes to quantitative research, I collected data, maybe after 6 months, after 3 months, I'm going to enter it. Somebody is going to enter, somebody is going to come up with the data analysis. Somebody prepares statistical analysis. At the end, you'll come and see what is the interlinkages, right? This is completely different. Once we collect it, once we go through the data, you start familiarizing yourself what kind of data that you collected it. Based on that, you are going to generate the codes for each sentence, for each paragraph. Based on your understanding, you're going to come up certain codes. Once we generate the codes, you start looking at it, how these particular codes can be connected with particular categories, particular themes, and you'll start developing the theory out of the research work. As a qualitative researcher, you are going to develop the theory out of your research work or hypothesis out of your research work. Whereas as a quantitative researcher, you are going to test your hypothesis or you're going to test your theory. I'm sure all of you knows it. The difference between quantitative and qualitative is that as a qualitative researcher, you're going to generate propositions, hypotheses, or develop the theory out of your research work. Whereas as a quantitative researcher, you're going to test the theories or hypotheses as a part of your research work.
Sir, I have a question.
Let me complete just a minute. Yes, please.
If the study is a mixed method approach, then we are going to generate the hypothesis or we are going to test it?
It depends on your contribution. Let me put it one more way. You are saying that mixed method, right? Within mixed method, we have different designs like exploratory. Before that, we have concurrent, parallel, integrated. Within that, we have exploratory sequential design, explanatory sequential design, integrated research design. So how much you are able to explore, what exactly, whether qualitative research is dominating or quantitative research is dominating. It's not that what I'm going to tell that you're going to do. What is the research purpose? You are choosing more of quantitative and less of qualitative, right? So your research study, your purpose decides whether you're going to develop the theory or you're going to test the theory. Okay. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Please. Any questions? Was this session helpful or then clear?
Yes, please. Any more questions?
If you don't have any questions, I can add 1 or 2 points also. If there are any questions, please let me know. Still, we have 15 minutes time. We have it.
If in case anybody had any doubt regarding the presentation or some feedback, anything.
Maybe I can see chat box. There are some questions.
Chat box, I don't think there is any question. Let me see.
Okay. Okay.
Sir, could you please differentiate between convenience and snowball sampling?
See, snowball sampling, you are going to use when you are not able to trace your respondents or particular population category. Okay. For example, I want to conduct study on children's those who hang chain smoking hobbies. Okay. The place where I'm working there are nearly 6 universities we had. In the Gandhinagar, the place I'm working here, I'm working at Gujarat National Law University, Gandhinagar. Nearby my university, there are 6 universities we have. Not only my university, you can see everywhere, you can see some gallas. Right? Afternoon time, morning time, we can able to see that there are so many students are gathering in a particular place. I'm assuming that there are some people who are supplying some kind of different kind of products like ganja, maybe we have it. Okay. Now, nobody coming and saying that I'm using this particular product, but I want to test. So as a researcher, what I will do, I don't go on, I'll just stand there, I'll start visiting the particular shop morning or evening hours. I'll trace who are the people who are regularly coming here. I can't trace within 1 day, 2 days. I'll go regularly, I'll observe the people who are coming, who are there, I'll build my relationship. I build my relationship with them. I'll maintain my contacts with them. Okay. So with my interactions, I'll come to know who are the people are coming, what they are taking, what kind of products they are taking on it. And I'm able to trace, okay, after 10 days, after 5 days, I'm able to trace something is happening, some kind of steroids, some kind of ganjas they are producing, selling there. Okay. Now, I can't go and ask, hey, you are using this one, this is something wrong, or I am collecting data on it. Please tell me what it is. So I'm saying that I'm also wanted to use this kind of product. I'm not really able to trace it. Please let me know what is the main source. Or I'm going to give the money, give me the source. So I'll build my connections, build my relations. Then I'll trace who are the people are coming. So with one source, I'll get the data from the about other people, those are using this kind of products. For that, I'm going to use snowball sampling technique. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Whereas when it comes to convenience sampling, if people are passing my street, maybe the university gave me a permission to collect the data from particular university. I'll go and ask who are people are coming on the way near gate or near library or going to class inside classroom, coming out from the classroom. I can go and ask them, certain people, as for my convenience in this case. Okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, please.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, please.
In case of snowball sampling, we can call it as chain link sampling also. We get in touch with one person who has connection with my respondents where I can collect the data. Are we collecting the data from that person who is acting as intermediary between the researcher and the respondent, ultimate respondent?
He's intermediary. He's one of your respondent. Yes, you're collecting data from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just need a clarification, sir.
Please, please.
Sir, as you said, like using a census for small populations, but then the ideal definition of census is for larger population, right? It's a door-to-door delivery and it's a national.
See, I clearly mentioned if it is a small census is very huge.
Yes,
Government
sir.
of India is taking 10 years and till now we don't have 2021 census because of
After
COVID-19.
COVID, yes,
Because
sir.
of COVID-19. Okay, it is not feasible. It requires huge mechanism. All the institutions required it, right?
Yes.
Now, I'm saying that based on your population, based on your category of your respondent, if your population is small,
Okay.
then you can collect the data from the entire population. In case your population size is big, we have sample tables, we have it. We have online calculators, we have it. We have sample size calculate formulas, we have it. Okay. So we have different strategies. We can use any of the strategies in that case.
Small size means like any approximate figures or like.
That is completely is going to be subjective in that case. It's always better to go with some calculator, some formulas in that case. Okay. So that you don't give chance to anyone to grill you as a part of your PhD or as a part of your research work. You know, even as a journal editors, they require some kind of justification, right? Justification.
Okay.
As a researcher, you know what you're doing it. But what you're thinking, they should be convinced, you should convince other people also at a larger level.
Okay.
You and your supervisor decide that this is the correct one, it won't work out. Okay,
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
please welcome. Yes. There are so many tools are available, like as a part of data analysis, NBI, Vivo, Atlas TI, and Max QDA. Now, as we have so many AI tools, we have it. So just look at it. Maybe learning this kind of tools also very helpful. Any questions further?
Hi, sir. Hello, sir.
Please, ma'am. Please go ahead, ma'am. Yes.
Sir, good evening, sir. Sir, my question to you, sir, as you mentioned previously that how we study entrepreneurial activities in rural areas. You gave an example. Uh, so my question is, sir, how can I study entrepreneurial activities in the among the indigenous people, as they are not aware about the entrepreneurial activities? So what tool I use? Basically, is my question.
There are two things are required. For example, are you conducting training program for the indigenous people, or in general you want to explore indigenous people? Those belongs to
Sir,
entrepreneurship.
in general, sir, in general.
Can you repeat again? In general, how it is?
In general, sir, in general.
Title. What do you want to do it? What do you want to collect it?
Sir, what is the impact of entrepreneurship on the indigenous people?
Impact of entrepreneurship on indigenous people, right? That's one.
Yes, sir.
You are talking about
Yes,
two
sir.
things. One is impact of entrepreneurship. Impact of whom? For example, now in that case, you need to understand there are so many entrepreneurs we have it. Okay. Let's take, for example, some of you might be knowing Jaipur Rugs.
Yes.
Jaipur Rugs is in Jaipur. Basically, they are encouraging artisans, rural artisans. Okay.
Yes.
Now, if you go to this particular Jaipur Rugs, I'll come to know how this particular entrepreneurship, this particular enterprise, ensuring that they're continuing their livelihood sources. How encouraging, how still we have rural artisans are there. Still we are able to provide livelihood opportunities for these people. If you go to Fab India is collecting materials and is also providing work opportunities for the people, those belongs to certain artisans or certain rural area people, right? Now, if I go to Fab India,
Yes.
they can give me the list, sample frame or population from where they belongs to. Either you have to trace the enterprises which are dealing with this particular people,
Okay.
or you have to trace impact of entrepreneurship. Because if I know this particular entrepreneurship is working,
Yes.
for example, in Bangalore, we have an organization called Enable India. It's mainly meant for training persons with visual impaired people. I just want to understand the impact of Enable India on persons with disabilities.
Okay.
So I need to trace these ventures that I'm targeting. So I need to trace out the enterprises which are working with indigenous people, or traditional people, or tribal people.
Yes, sir. Tribal peoples. Yes.
Got it.
So I focused on the traditional art and craft they do.
That's what I meant. That's what I understand. See, as you're talking about impact of entrepreneurship training, impact of entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship training on these particular people, you need to trace these particular enterprises. Obviously, you'll get the second part. For example, if I'm looking at impact of particular NGO on providing educational opportunities for a particular community, I need to know what is the NGO which is working, what kind of work they are doing on it, how many years they are working on it. The impact depends on the kind of strategies, the kind of activities carried by this particular NGO. Right? So I can collect the data from the NGO itself. I can also collect the data from the people, those who got the benefit from this particular NGO.
Okay.
I hope I understood. In case somebody would like to add any point, feel free to add it. It's not that you don't need to answer. Feel free to add it if you feel somewhere something is wrong. Okay. I'll be more happy with that. Yeah, please. Yes. Any more questions?
There is one question in the chat box by Malati, I believe.
Okay.
Ways of avoiding the sampling errors.
Ways of?
Avoiding the sampling errors. How to avoid the sampling errors?
One is increasing the sample size. Okay. The more sample size that you have it, you can avoid sample errors. Okay, that is one from statistical point of view. I also mentioned about non-sampling errors, like taking more precautions, clarity with total population, and clarity with the kind of tool that you have designed it. Okay, if you know total population and if you know your sample frame, that is well and good. You can able to come up with the right sampling strategy. And whether your purpose is aligned, are you able to align your purpose with the sampling strategy or not? That is also one of the important aspect. Your purpose of the study, based on the purpose of the strategy, you are able to choose your sample size or not. That is very important part. Okay, here I'm putting one video, my YouTube channel. Those are interested to understand further qualitative data analysis by using NV IVivo. Maybe you can able to watch it. You can subscribe it. There are videos on quantitative data analysis by using SPSS, Jamovi. Jamovi is a free software. And we also have systematic literature review videos are there. Each one is 10 hours, 10 hours. I hope it may be helpful you some extent. Please let me know if you have any feedback. Okay. Somebody asking difference between stratified sampling and quota sampling. When it comes to stratified sampling, we are dividing total population into stratas, and we are going to choose randomly from there. For example, male, female, then I'm going to choose randomly 25, 25 as a part of stratified sampling. Whereas when it comes to quota sampling, based on the population size of each group, I'm going to keep the quota. For example, if I'm going to select the data from arts, science, engineering, technology, based on the arts population, based on engineering population, management population, I'm going to fix the quota. Once we have fixed the quota, I'll choose it. Whereas here, in stratified sampling, we are going to choose it, we are going to divide it, we are going to take it randomly there. Whereas here in quota sampling, we'll fix the quota based on the total population. There was one Saraswati. I like to do research on living conditions of fishing women in Tamil Nadu. 3 more states, 3 more districts or states, 3 more states in Tamil Nadu. Sampling size is 800. Please give me sampling details. Point number 1, you should know whether you're going to do it qualitative study or quantitative study. Okay, that has to be very clear. If you know that, accordingly you can able to decide it whether you want to see quantitative study. Then what are going to collect the data from 3 states, including Tamil Nadu? 3 more states. 3 more states, and you should know what is the total population of each community in each state. Accordingly, you can fix it out. There is one question. Is there any condition that we need to conduct any only non-parametric test when sampling is convenience? Yes, madam. As a part of statistical techniques, if you're not using random sampling technique, we have to go for non-parametric statistical technique. Okay, that is clear cut. Okay, there are so many other conditions, like if your data is not distributed normally, generally we'll go for non-parametric statistics. If you have data like categorical data, like nominal or ordinal data, in that case, we'll go for non-parametric statistics. Similarly, when you are not using random sampling technique, even in that situation, one can go for non-parametric statistics. In experimental design can work on single group design. Sorry, Mr. Arun, I'm not clear about it. I mentioned about Poland. Yes, I'll be sharing. I'll be sharing with Mr. Ravichandra. I'll be sharing with Professor Sanjeev sir or Professor Binit. They'll share with you. I'll share that thesis with you. Okay. Ramesh. Professor Ramesh. Yes.
So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. I would like to thank especially Professor Sanjeev Tiwari, sir, and Professor Binit, sir, and all the organizing committee members coming from different colleges from Chennai. And special thanks to Sociology of Sports, for giving me this particular opportunity. And if there are any feedbacks, any comments, feel free to let me know so that I can learn better. I can improve it myself. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, sure, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Dear
Thank you very
participants,
much.
totally you have completed day 5. Requesting all to participate remaining 2 days. And tomorrow will be about proposal writing.
Bennett,
And day after
Bennett,
tomorrow.
1 second. Bennett, only 1 second. 1 minute. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Carry on.
Okay, okay. Let me just finish this with a good note that all our research scholars, faculty members, and students who are with us today, it is always a pleasure listening to Dr. Ambati Rao, and you have loads to learn from him. So naturally, you cannot get everything in a 2-hour session or something like this. And he is so kind enough to share his videos on all the SPSS and other issues now. And he was very vocal as far as returning back to your questions is concerned. If in case you still have anything, you please let us know. We will try to ensure that we get a more, you can say, descriptive sort of a session from him. This is number one. Number two, while designing your feedback, I would request all of you to be very particular. You should also let us know if in case there are any limitations and what are our positive, you can say, take backs from this course. And last but not the least, please try to enter the meeting room in time. And please don't repeat this thing that somebody will enter at 7:30 or 7:45, So with a very short note and with a very humorous note, let me tell you one thing, that ethically this is not correct, and it is not befooling us, it is befooling yourselves only. Please be in time so that we can just try to ensure that we get the optimum out of this research methodology workshop. We are trying to improve day by day, so your feedback will also work. Thank you very much, Bennett. If in case you have to say anything, please.
No, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, dear
Thanks,
participants.
all.
See you
Thanks a lot.
tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.